Welcome. Hi, my name is Jodi Scholes. I'm your instructor for the MBLEx review course. For some of you, I'm also your business mentor. Yes, we are here today with the MBLEx review course studying the skeletal system. This is a live class on the information that you need to prepare for the MBLEx, the Massage and Bodywork Licensing Exam. And the course, my classes are in three parts. And the first part is a test-taking strategy. So to be successful, what I've found is you need three things. You need a test-taking strategy, you need knowledge about the test. The second part of class is the content, it's learning. And then the third part of class, we're going to be dissecting some questions. Yes. And so as we begin class, moving into this first part of class, I want to address those three topics because you know the test is tricky. The test will give you more than one right answer. The test is a computer adaptive test. It could get harder. And so the foundation of being successful at taking the MBLEx is understanding the nature of the test. Also having test-taking stamina. Yeah, so having some test-taking stamina. That test-taking stamina you'll need for up to 2 hours unless you have an accommodation that allows you to take a longer bout of time. So you can have up to 4 hours if you qualify for the accommodation. And if you need more info on that, please make a note in the chat or reach out to us directly via direct message on Patreon. So you'll need that test-taking stamina, the 2 hours of test-taking stamina. And when you understand the nature of the test, that it's computer adaptive, that the questions are worded in a kind of tricky way, and the answers, there's often more than one right answer. So as you take your practice exams, you get to be so you get to be proactive. And I think of this in terms of whether you're playing offense or defense. I know some of you have never played a sport, but we've all heard of football, we've all heard of soccer, and we've all heard of basketball. And there are two sides of the teams out there, right? The offense has the ball, the defense is protecting against a goal. And so when you go into the MBLEx, know that you're going to have to play both offense and defense. Offense, you're going to have to understand the question. You're going to have to be proactive. You're going for it. And then when you get to the answers, a little bit of defense. Okay, is that the best answer? It's not just grabbing one answer. You actually have to grab the best answer. Yeah. And so test-taking strategy is a very important part of your success for the MBLEx. Another important part we're going to move into momentarily, and that's the content. The content of what you know, what you learned in massage school. And then, of course, dissecting the question, having that stamina that helps you to stay present while you're dissecting questions, while you're getting to the best answer. And that's what we're going to do today. Let's get into our content, shall we? We're going to be talking about the skeletal system. So here we are at the start of our deep dive into the skeletal system. And we're going to be talking about the anatomy, the physiology, and a little bit of the kinesiology of the skeletal system. We're going to be talking about some joints today. Want to give you a bigger picture of what we're doing. This is our 12-week study guide. Yay! Yay to Tara for coming up with this. We have been doing an 8-week cycle, and what we found is we needed to actually incorporate a little bit more. We've based this on 12 weeks. if you are taking your MBLEx in 4 weeks, that means you need to do 3 times as much, right? You need to move through 3 sections in 1 week to get through all of the material. But this is a nice, steady 12-week program for you. And each week, we are posting in the Patreon site exactly what to study that week. We've covered all of your bases. So many of you have asked, oh my gosh, how do we know what to study? And how do we know what to study what week and when and what order? We got you. We got you. In the study guide, we also remind you to please set aside 2 hours for your study sessions. When you first get started, that might be challenging because you really don't have the stamina yet to study for 2 hours. But again, we're sneaky. We say set aside 2 hours because we know you're going to need that 2 hours to be able to focus on taking the test, especially on game day, baby. Game day. Yeah. So when is your game day? You're going to need that 2 hours of focus to be able to stay present. Likewise, the Zoom link for our for this session will be posted in Patreon. So if you miss something today, if you want to go to a deeper dive, you can go back and replay this video. Patreon is also where the link for these sessions are. Many of you found it there today. Many of you got emailed it. Yeah. All right. So depending on when you take your MBLEx, it may or may not align with exactly what you're studying, but it gives you a good, solid foundation when you are studying that content, what to study. Also, for everybody who has got a practice exam, you now have 2 practice exams. A reminder, you've got one that simulates the MBLEx and one that gives you immediate feedback. If you need more instruction on that, feel free to ask us. But over the holidays, we turned on a feature to our traditional practice exam, and it was immediate feedback. So many of you loved it. They're like, oh my God, that was so helpful. That we created a brand new test and we added it to your dashboard so that you can take a test with immediate feedback, or you can take a test with no feedback. Yes. So hit us up again on direct message if you want to know a little bit more about how to use those and when to use those. Part of how we prepare this lesson is from the Federation's content outline. This is called the content outline. And I'll attach it to this lecture so that you can print it if you'd like. And this gives you an idea. This gives you the general categories of things that are on the MBLEx. Straight from the Federation. Oh, by the way, don't buy anything else from the Federation. They're going to try and tell you study guides and different tools. Please double check with us before you spend any additional money with the Federation. Not all their tools are great. Just saying. All right. So what do we need to know about the skeletal system? I want to do a shout out to the Coalition of Massage Therapy Organizations. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Coalition, but you're gonna learn a little bit about it today. A few years ago, the coalition, 7 organizations came together and they produced a blueprint of what all of these organizations believed needed to be in massage school, needed to be taught in massage school. Isn't that amazing? So they came in at about 625 hours and reduced it down to 500, but 625 is reflected in the blueprint. And I just want to say thank you so much to the coalition for producing what's called the ELAP, an entry-level assessment program, which is the blueprint for massage school curriculum. And here's what they have to say about the skeletal system. So If you're not sure if you got all you needed to get from school, going back to the blueprint will give you a great idea of what was covered. And we're going to talk about that, the skeletal system, right now. The coalition said about 10 hours of instruction was going to be needed for the skeletal system. And that after you finished these 10 hours, that you would know these things. So the structure and function, what are bones, bony landmarks, joints, what are pathologies of the skeletal system? And then be able to use your clinical reasoning to decide, are there any contraindications, general or specific? And are there any session adaptations that you'll need to make to keep this client safe and to treat them effectively? Here are the key terms and concepts. We have 3 pages of them. These are the key terms and concepts from the coalition's blueprint of massage school curriculum. I'm not going to go through these. I show it to you to let you know it's going to be a resource for you. More terms to be familiar with. These again come from, you'll see there, the Coalition of National Massage Therapy Organizations. What is that? It's those 7 organizations that are listed who are a part of the coalition. So ABMP, AMTA, probably heard of those. COMPTA, they accredit massage schools, COMPTA does. Commission on Massage Therapy Association. NCB-TMB, National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork. AFMTE, the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education. MTF, that's the Massage Therapy Foundation. And the FSMTB, the Federation. Those are your 7 core organizations that influence our profession. They're called the coalition. And that's the wrap on the rest of those terms. So I think it's 3.5 pages of terms that they recommend you're familiar with. We'll make these a resource for you. You can walk through them. It's a lot. It's not all going to be on the MBLEx, but this was a starting point for us. Let's talk about the function of the skeletal system. There are 5 key roles. Now, you may say 6 if you break up fat and mineral storage, but 5 key major functions of the skeletal system. Skeletal system, of course, is our skeleton, our bones. Simple, right? Well, what do our bones do? Our bones offer protection. Our bones offer support to the muscular system. It's a framework for the muscular system. We're going to talk about each of these in depth, so you'll see them again. The skeletal system allows us to move, but only at the joints and because of skeletal muscles. So the bones themselves don't move, but provide anchor points for the joints and the muscles and the cartilage and the ligaments, right? And remember, ligaments attach bones to bones. That's how the skeletal system is involved with movement. Number 4, the skeletal system provides a place for fat and mineral storage. You may not have known that. And then finally, blood cell production. That blood cells are produced in the bones. All right. So blood cell production happens in the bones too. Let's take a deeper dive into these 5 areas. Support, movement, protection. All right. Some things are pretty obvious. And so Protection seems like one of those things, right? Take a look at that rib cage. The rib cage protects our internal organs. It protects our soft organs. And the analogy I like to use is just like steel beams of a building would protect if a tree fell on the building. Those steel beams also are the scaffolding for the walls, for the roof. And our bones are the scaffolding for our muscles. It actually supports the rest of the muscles. In fact, without the skeletal system, we'd be a big blob of tissue. Our cranium, our skull, remember our skull, that's the hard part, the cranium. What does it protect? Our brain. Yes. The vertebral column protects our spinal cord. So support, protection, that seems to make sense for the skeletal system. Protects the internal organs, for example, like your lungs, your heart, your skull, obviously. But also, the only reason that the skeleton moves is because of muscles. So on the MBLEx, if you are to be asked about movement and what produces movement, the muscles produce movement. Now, our skeleton moves because of skeletal muscles. And let's remember, there are 3 types of muscles. Skeletal muscles, they move us. But we have 2 other kinds of muscles, smooth and cardiac. So skeletal muscles create movement. Smooth muscles are involuntary. Skeletal muscles are voluntary. Makes sense, right? Smooth muscles and cardiac muscles are involuntary. They work without us thinking about it. We find cardiac muscles in our heart, and we find smooth muscles in our belly, in our large and small intestines. The smooth muscles in our intestines move the food, the digested food, through our small and large intestines, through our colon. We'll call the whole thing the colon, even though it's only the bottom part. But those smooth muscles contract without us even thinking about it until you're like, oh, I ate so much. Oh, I have a cramp. But that smooth muscle movement is called peristalsis, which we'll cover in the digestive system. But as far as movement of the body, muscles move the body. Muscles move the bones. Ligaments allow the bones to move as well. Muscles, tendons, ligaments. Those create movement. And the skeleton's kind of along for the ride. All right. So you get the idea. Protection, support, and movement. Let's talk about those 2 other things. So mineral and fat storage. We're going to talk about blood cell production in a moment. Mineral and fat storage. So on a metabolic level, what does the skeleton do? The skeleton, the bones, the long bones, are a reservoir for a number of minerals. So they hold, so for example, calcium, right? When you were a kid, maybe you heard, oh, you're supposed to drink milk, calcium fortified milk, so that you have strong bones. Did you know that broccoli is an even better source of calcium? Yeah, seriously. So, but calcium makes for strong bones. Calcium and phosphorus, we don't need as much phosphorus, but make for strong bones. And so we store some of that calcium in the bone. When necessary, the bones can release these minerals back into the bloodstream. So one of the major causes of cramping, for example, over cramping, is not enough calcium, not enough magnesium, or dehydration. Now, you don't need to know that right now. We'll cover that in sports massage another time. But calcium ions are necessary for those muscle contractions. Otherwise, there might be a spasm, or the muscles may not be as firm. So when the body needs it, the bones can release some. Pretty cool, huh? So it's a storage house. Long bones store minerals like calcium and phosphorus. All right. This is where I had to dust off a few brain cells. I don't remember learning this in massage school, but every now and then I do see sample MBLEx questions that talk about bone marrow. All right, let's get clear. Bones serve as a site for fat storage and blood cell production, but also that spongy tissue, the connective tissue that fills the inside of the bones is referred to as bone marrow. So you see, here's a long bone. And when we get real close, we see these spongy parts, the inside of the bone. We're going to see a bigger picture of this momentarily. Okay, here we go. So words like, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce this, but I'm going to do my best. I practiced. Epiphysis, diaphysis, and epiphysis. The epi, so just like the epi was the up, right? When we talked about an epinephrine shot, when someone goes into an allergic reaction, they have an EpiPen. Well, epi are both ends of the bone, epiphysis. The diaphysis is in the middle. Now, as we look here, there are two types of bone marrow. Bear with me. I hope you never see this on the MBLEx, just in case. The yellow bone marrow, it has adipose tissue. It's kind of the color of fat when you see like adipose tissue, like fat tissue. It's that yellowy kind of color. And it's where it's actually where fat is stored in the bone and can, at times, once we've exhausted other areas of fat, be used to release some fat into the bloodstream. That's the yellow bone marrow. Looks the same color as fat, and it does, when it's released, it provides energy to the body. But the red bone marrow, this is the stuff we always hear about. The red bone marrow. That's where the production of blood cells is. So in your long bones is where we make new blood. Yeah, did you ever wonder about that? Where does new blood come from? Yeah, sometimes we get transfusions if there's been a lot of blood loss, but red bone marrow is where we make our blood cells. So the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the platelets are all produced, they're all made in this red bone marrow. So, and as you can see, when we're a little kid, all we're producing is bone marrow. But as we get older, we produce the yellow bone marrow in the long bones of the body. Okay. The skeletal system. This is, as we move away from kind of bone and bone density and bone mass and what are bones made out of, let's take a look at the bigger picture of the skeletal system. There are 206 bones in the body. We only have to know about half of them. We got to know the big ones, not just the long ones. We have to know the important ones. That would be a better way to say that. We have to know the important ones. There are two skeletons, two distinctions of the skeleton of the body. One is the axial skeleton. That is what is highlighted in this image. you will see the cranium, the rib cage, the rib cage all the way down to the sacrum and the coccyx. So 3 parts: the skull, the spine, the rib cage. That is your axial skeleton. Some of you know the term the axle of a car. The axle is the part that connects the 2 wheels. The axial skeleton is the place where all the other bones connect. Pardon me. The second skeleton, second division of the skeleton, is the appendicular skeleton. I know some of you are going, oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, so that's why we're diving deeper, so that it's at the front of your mind, not just the back of your mind. So the appendicular skeleton, shoulder blades, arms, wrist, hands, bones of the pelvis. That sometimes is a question. The pelvis is a part of the appendicular skeleton. It actually attaches to the spine at the SI joints, at the sacroiliac joints. So the pelvis, the femurs, the long bones of the lower leg, the feet, all part of the appendicular skeleton. This is so fun. I like this. Now, the distribution of bones is not even. You have way, way, way more bones in your hands and feet than you do in any other part of your body. At times, the MBLEx will ask you, how many bones are there in your hand? There are 27. Okay? There are 26 in the foot. So if you want to think about the alphabet, how many letters are in the English alphabet? 26. And you can imagine your feet in a bowl of alphabet soup. Your feet surrounded by letters, the alphabet. There's 26 bones in your foot. One more in your hand and your wrist. So be careful on those questions on the MBLEx. Are they asking about 1 hand or 2 hands? Are they asking about one? So be careful on those questions on the MBLEx. Are they asking about 1 hand or 2 hands? Are they asking about 1 foot or 2 feet? Very. All right, good. Are you ready to dissect some questions? Yes. Very good. Let's go ahead and dive in to dissecting some questions. Now, let me give you just the general rules here. When you see the question, we need to go through 3 steps. Read the question. Maybe read the question again if you don't understand it, or if it's long. Read all the answers. Read all the answers. Read all of them. Why do I say read all of them? Because, my friends, the best answer is sometimes not the first one. You may have 4 right answers. Yeah, you got to pick the best one. The one that always applies. The one that's always right. So, and then you can eliminate also in that process, step number 3, once you read through all the answers, you can eliminate incorrect answers. You're like, it can't be that, it can't be that, it can't be that. So let's go through that process together. When you see the answer you want to choose, I'd like you to put it in the chat. Yep, so right on here. And these might need my glasses. Yep, very good, yep. So chat, that's the chat. You can find it on your phone, find it on your computer. Place your answer in the chat, but wait. Because when you hit enter, we all see it. And I want people, however long it takes to process the question, I want them to have a chance. Because when you do the math, how long do you think you have? How long do you think you have to answer a question on the MBLEx? What's the full time? Have you ever done that math? Here's how you do the math. So you have an hour and 50 minutes. Okay? So 1 hour is 60 minutes. And then you have another 50 minutes. So you have 110 minutes to take your test. 110 minutes to finish 100 questions. That means you have about 70 seconds. Technically 66 seconds per question. Let's say 60 seconds. Let's just round it up. Between 60 and 70 seconds, a full minute. We're going to go through an exercise today that demonstrates to you how long 60 seconds is. I want you to feel it because you start to feel anxious. You're like, oh, I gotta answer. I gotta go. Mm-mm. We're going to sit with that feeling today. And part of the way we're going to do that is when we submit our answers. So the point is, hold off on submitting your answers until I say go. All right? Let's play. The humerus bone is a part of the blank. Actually, I prefer to use the word wood. So the humerus bone is a part of the wood. A, the axial skeleton. B, the appendicular skeleton. C, the thoracic spine. D, the rib cage. So you can put your answer in the chat, but hold off on sending it. Let's get rid of one wrong answer. So what do we know it can't be a part of? The humerus bone can't be a part of the rib cage. That's not right. Okay. We're going to do an exercise now where you're going to be patient. You ready? I'm going to time us for 20 seconds. No, yeah, I'm going to time us for 15 seconds. I want you to feel what 15 seconds feels like. Are you ready? In 15 seconds, you can put your answer in. Just watch how long 15 seconds feels like. I don't know if you can see the phone. Three, two, one, go. Taking a look at the answers. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Boom, bada, boom, bada, boom. All right. Kiara, yes. Hector, yes. Good. Lily, good. Frida, you got it. Jessica, yeah. Amanda, yep. Good. Marissa, nice clarification. Carolina, yep. Good. Sherry, Paris, yep. Meg, yep. Lisa, nice. Diane, you got it. Gator Boys, yep. iPhone, yep. Ms. V, you could see it. Good, good, good. Best answer? Appendicular skeleton. So we're going to practice waiting that 15 seconds because Here's why. You have a minute. You have 60 seconds. You have 4 times the amount of time we're going to be waiting. I just want you to practice because when you wait, you have a chance to review the other answers. You've already picked your best answer. I don't want you to change. I don't want you to change your answer. I want you to trust your first gut. I just want you to practice slowing down a little. Next question. Lesson. Boom! Yay! Way to go. Way to go. High five. High five. Nice work. Nice work today. Excellent work. Let's see. Yeah, that's the way to do it, you guys. That's the way to double down on a deeper dive on the skeletal system. Yes, so much good information. And now you can feel more comfortable about bones. You can feel more comfortable about the role of the skeletal system, truly understanding all the roles of the skeletal system. Great work. And of course, dissecting questions, right? So how to get through, you can see some of those distractors. They literally write these test questions with distractions to try and get, oh, could it be movement? Oh, could it be posture? Always the skeletal system protects the organs, right? Good. So I'll wrap up this recording by reminding you my name is Jodi Scholes. I'm your instructor for the MBLEx review course. And if this is your first time with us and you are not a member, we invited a bunch of people into the class today from who are subscribers to YouTube. And you know what? We all started as subscribers to YouTube, right? Oh, maybe got referred by a friend, but I would say 90% of the people who take this class are subscribers on YouTube. So if you're a subscriber, but you're not yet a member in the Patreon community, come and join us. We do this every week. Yeah. Exactly. We've got great practice exams for you. We've got a deeper dive into general topics. Lots of good stuff happening over in the Patreon community. And they'll be emailed. You'll also, all of you who are members know where to find this link to rewatch the class. But for those of you who aren't members yet, you will be sent an email so you can rewatch this class. But if you like this class, come and join us. Yeah, come and join us. All right, I'll sign off, but I'm going to hang out with all of you who are in the live class to take your questions and to get your feedback. But my name again is Jodi Scholes. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again right back here